What's going on, guys? Think Wavy back again with some gameplay of Gundam Evolution. I'm loving this game, bro. Like, I can't deny it, bro. I like this game. We're gonna be talking more about Armor Core and Miyazaki and Yamamura's interview with IGN. Yeah, it's just, I guess, dive right into it. So it's basically just covering everything that I basically said. The game is not going to be anything like Souls. Because IGN questions Miyazaki, is it fair to say that Armored Core 6 would be closer to the Soulsborne games than the series has been in the past? Before I answer that, before I go what he actually said, Soulsborne games, right? So they're combining Souls with the Bloodborne. What about the Elden Ring now? Because obviously Elden Ring is, popping off, right? So are we gonna call the genre Soulsborne Ring? Or Elden Soulsborne? Elden Soulsborne games? Soulsborne Ring games? Like, I just find it funny, bro. Like, the community, man, it's funny. But yeah, so Miyazaki's like, basically he says, fuck no. That's basically what he says. He says, fuck no. We're not making a conscious effort to try to direct the game towards Soulsborne type gameplay. First of all, let me just make that clear. You know what I'm saying? I like the way he just ended that. First of all, let me just make that clear. By the way, you know what I'm saying? I feel like he got an attitude here as well. Like just like the fans did when people were saying Souls like. It's like, fuck you! How dare you ask me that question? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but yeah. That's just how I'm interpreting. I just don't try to make it funny. It sounds funny, innit? Sounds pretty funny. So, like, obviously Miyazaki, he wants to, like, basically the whole idea is he wants to improve what is already there. So, for example, the previous games, I'm pretty sure he wants to take everything good from all of those previous games, and obviously with the new resources that that FromSoft has developed, they've come a long way since back then, right? So with the new technology and stuff, whatever they have, they can make the game that they always wanted to make. That's exactly what Miyazaki says. He was jealous. He was jealous of what FromSoft has become now, based off of what he had when he was making Armored Core 4 and 4 Answer. So that just gives you a hint that it was all about making the older games like better, more improved. You know what I'm saying? That's what he wants. He wants to basically he probably wants to get maybe I would say 4 Answer and Verdict Day stuff, because those are probably the games, obviously the latest games, and they're probably the most popular ones, I'd say. So he probably wants to take those games and like just mix them together and just improve, because obviously as you see in the trailer, you can kind of see the hints of that already. If you look at the poster boy, right, he can switch out his back weapons for the weapon in his hand, but also if you see at the end when he goes to grab his gun off his shoulder, right, his left shoulder doesn't does move forward, but it looks like that's actually a shoulder mounted weapon, those missiles. To me, that's what it looks like. So maybe they do like have a mixture of both, where you can have fixed weapons on your shoulder and also have weapons that you could switch out. So obviously, depending on what side you fix your weapon on, like say I fixed my cannon on the right side, that means I can't swap out my primary for my shoulder, right? But maybe on my left side, I have weapons that I can switch out, type of thing. I think they will. I think they would do it like that. That's my speculation, right? And let's get further in deep what these guys are saying. You're not like. I want to get to the point where they talk about the weapon, the customization, because basically all they. If you look at the interview, he's always like Miyazaki and Yamamura. All they are saying is everything about the game is based off how you make your mech. Even the difficulty, you can make the level harder based off of how bad you make your mech. You know, that's basically what they're getting at as well, in terms of difficulty. So he was saying that the first difficulty is actually in the fucking garage, you know? Is in the garage, making your mech. It is a difficulty too, you know what I'm saying? So that's core to Armored Core, first of all. So they're definitely not going away from their roots in terms of how you make your mech. The gameplay definitely is going to be the same shit. So IGN asked Yamamura if the game is going to be, well, obviously he was the lead designer of Sekiro, right? They're like, can you talk a little bit about the lessons you learned from that project and how you're going to apply them in Armored Core? So he's saying that there's no elements directly referencing Sekiro, but he says both titles feel the same essence of battle, such as aggressiveness. So, for example, when they were saying they want you, this is where it comes, this is where the game change happens, kind of thing. It's to do with the bosses, right? They want the bosses to basically not be bullet sponges, you know. In every Armored Core game, bosses just kind of just gun you down and you just gun it down, and there's no real interaction with the two. There's no staggering. You can't stagger. So basically what they're saying here is what is it saying? For this title, by continuing to attack even the strongest enemy, the force of impact can break the enemy's posture and inflict a large amount of damage, a critical hit. So that's basically like how Souls games, it's basically like Souls as well. He's saying Sekiro, but Souls had that too, where you could literally parry the bosses. Certain bosses you could parry, or you do a lot of damage to a certain part of their body, and they'll stagger, and you just go in for a crit hit or repulse. So they're basically saying this is the starting point for the slow and fast-paced speed of the battle. So he's saying slow, but he's just saying like the game was slowed down for that specific moment. You know what I'm saying? As in, you will stagger the enemy, and then it's not dodging anymore, is it? It's you going in and then stabbing them. That's like slowing down the game a little bit, And then he says slow and fast speed change, right? So obviously once you've repulsed them, the boss gets back up and you're about to dodge in and like moving fast, shooting, trying to get out of there, out of his range of attack, trying to go in for the melee. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what he's getting at here. Because he says here, this is the starting point, and combined in with long range fighting, firefighting, and close range melee combat, the enemy and his machine engage each other violently, creating a more aggressive and dynamic battle that only mechas can engage in. So, yeah, as you can say, like the previous leaker way back in the day clearly didn't know what he was looking at when he saw the leaked footage, and he was saying it was the game with Souls. Like, clearly don't know what he's fucking looking at, but he never played an Armored Core game, you know. So, yeah. Another thing I want to get into, because pretty much,
they won't get me this time.
Pretty much they're talking, you know, like the IGN's asking questions like how the difficulty is going to be and stuff, and is it going to be difficult, like super hard or whatever. And like Miyazaki is saying, I'm pretty sure like it's not going to be a flat difficulty, like it's not going to be just straight hard from the beginning all the way through. Like it's all going to be tied to how you make your mech and stuff as well, you know. So there's a lot of variables to making your mission hard. You could just make a bad mech, right? Super slow, has shitty weapons that you might think is cool, and you go into the mission and you just get destroyed because the game is going to be hard, but you just made it harder for yourself because you made a bad Armored Core, you know. That's basically what they're gonna be. That's basically what they're saying here. You know what I'm saying? So another thing, and this is new to Armored Core. Unless For Answer did not have this. What he's about to say here. Let me try and find it. When he talks about how you can tune your weapon, you tune stuff. But he what was the question that IGN asked? I'm trying to find the question, sorry. Oh, another thing, I got to talk about this here, since this is the first one that popped up. IGN asks, why is FromSoft so drawn to apocalyptic settings, right? Because IGN said, you know, Dark Souls and Elden Ring and Demon Souls, they're all dark. So, like, Armored Core is really dark. Like, why is, like, that everything a dark thing? He basically said, like, FromSoft itself is that's what they like, right? It's not because, like, you know, if you see Armored Core and you think it's like Souls, it's not because like Souls, it's like FromSoft. FromSoft is why it looks like that. And he was saying that he said, I think he said something earlier about it too.
Confirmed. First launch is green.
Are you ready? We're dropping you back in now.
Yes, he says it before. Okay.
All clear.
IGN asks a massive fucking question, man. It's so dumb. So IGN says Armored Core may not be trying to be Soulsborne game, but does it have more of a Soulsborne essence than previous Armored Core games? And what does that mean for the series? When I think about Soulsborne essence, for example, I think of heavy combat, an air of mystery, exploration, difficulty, of course, a sense of darkness to the game. I'm not gonna read everything else because Miyazaki doesn't answer that basically, kinda. But that's basically the gist of the question. He goes on, but that's the basic gist of the question. This is what Miyazaki says because this is another reason, like, he's asking, oh, is it not gonna have anything like Souls? It's like Miyazaki says, I think first of all, speaking to those aspects you mentioned, the heavy combat, the air of mystery, the exploration and the sense of darkness, I think rather than being typically Soulsborne, these are just things that are typical of FromSoft in general. And I was I just had a clap, bro. It's like, these guys are just uneducated, bro. Uneducated. They just don't know FromSoft. They just think Souls is the reason why everything is dark and mystery. It's not. It's the way that FromSoft like to make their games. Another thing about that, he goes on to say that basically that apocalyptic like type of setting is just something that they're really good at doing. So they're not going to change that. They're not going to make a bright game that looks beautiful, even though their games do look beautiful, but in their own way, right? It's not super colorful in your face, and stuff look more realistic in FromSoft games, kind of, but more darker, like a darker sense to it. But Miyazaki basically says that that's their bread and butter, is making games like that. So that's why all their games are like that. That's basically what he said. It's not a Soulsborne thing, it's a FromSoft thing. I love that. I love the way he worded that, bro. You can check the interview out yourself too. It is actually funny. It's like Miyazaki's just like, bruh, like these questions are dumb, bro. that's what I get from it. But obviously the guy doesn't know, like, right? He probably has never played an Armored Core game in his life either, so he doesn't know what to expect. He just thinks everything is Souls-like, right? As well. Me most likely. Here we go. And they said, how much are you going to tell me about Armored Core 6's multiplayer? And they said, yes, we do plan on having a versus mode. So, that could be a lot of things. So, basically, there's multiplayer in the game. That's basically, he says that. There's multiplayer in the game. You'll be able to fully customize your mech and battle with others. That's been in pretty, I mean, it doesn't make sense to take that out because that was like the best thing of Armored Core 5 and Verdict Day. So, so why would they take that out, They're basically going to bring that back. But their main focus is the story. If you watched my previous video, I was saying that they wasn't that good at storytelling, kinda, and the voice actors were bad and all that. Some voice actors were good, don't get me wrong. If you listen to Reaper in Armored Core 5, Reaper's voice, and he's got like an edgy voice. That voice actor was good, no cap. And Fat Man was a decent voice actor too. What else? So yeah, they're basically gonna focus on the story because it makes sense. And that's what because they're so good at telling stories, even though the stories is kind of in the background with the Souls games, their stories are really amazing if you actually look into them. So Armored Core 6 is basically, getting that experience of them making good stories. So Armored Core 6 should have a really good story. It's a reboot as well, so the story is fresh. So it's not a continuation of everything. So they can kind of take it anywhere from here, which is interesting. I'm very interested to see where they take the story as well. But yeah, they said please stay tuned for more more multiplayer details at a later date, which I'm looking forward to seeing what they're actually gonna do with that. Hopefully they make it exactly like Armored Core 5 and Verdict Day, where you can have, your squad, you go out, you sortie with other people's squads, basically. Other clan versus clan. And there was a leaderboard, but it reset every week. So it was you'd always want to play multiplayer because you would always want to reach the top of the rankings. And maybe they might add, because they didn't really add rewards back in the day for that. It wasn't really a reward thing, it was more like a gloat thing, Yeah, it was more of a gloating thing, right? Oh, we're first place, or we're second, or we're third, But maybe they give us credits and maybe parts for it, for being a high ranking or something. But who knows? But yeah, here we go. On like they asked about the open world, because I was like, that would be cool if they had an open world, but they're going straight back. So they're like, to be clear, Armored Core 6 will feature a mission-based structure to the single player. So it's not fully open, So there is some open world in the mission-based structure. That's what they're trying to say. So within the mission, like in older games, you could like go off the path, and it wasn't as cool going off the path because you were just like, it could be like a desert or something, or I mean, you could be in buildings too. But it wasn't a cool exploration just to go off of the track of the mission, right? And then maybe you'll find like some rubble about, and then you look at the rubble and there's a part there that you can pick up. So I think like what they're trying to say, if it's not fully open, they're basically saying that the missions have more exploration in them. So you could probably go into some nooks and crannies and some secret doorways, maybe, or I don't know. Just for example, basically. So you had more. You're gonna have more. You're gonna have more freedom in the mission to find stuff maybe hidden in the mission, which is basically what they had in the original games, but they're probably gonna make it a little bit more bigger and gonna be more cooler. So it's going to stick to the mission-based structure. In regards to the shot in the trailer in particular, which that's what I went off by, the guy with the mech with the backpack picking up the thing. He just wanted that whole scene was just to show is a representation of the world of Armored Core 6, basically. They wanted you to just see what has happened to the world. That for that shot, that's basically what they was doing. Will it once again reset the story? Yes, obviously it does. We know this. I want to try and get to the part where I think it's Miyazaki that says it. I think it's here. But yeah, IGN asks, what's the approach to difficulty? course, Armor Core 6, what we wanted to focus on was really intense and tough mecha battles. Okay, so it's going to be tough. We have generally tried to keep it on a challenging side, but it's not to say that it's a flat difficulty line throughout. So I was saying this earlier. It's going to be based off of how you make your mech and stuff, you know. That's basically what he goes on to say. It's going to be how you assemble and all that stuff. So I've already talked about that.
This doesn't look good.
I just want to get to the part.
We're on track for victory.
Yeah, as he goes on about the real battle really starts in the AC garage. Yeah, as I said. Here. I think it's here. Armor Core had generators, radiators, and many parts. Will Armor Core 6 have even more parts, or the same number of parts? And also, will it have RPG progression? But when he said RPG progression, he feels like he's got stars on his freaking head still.
Select the suit you wish to pilot.
I mean,
Redeploy.
like role playing as a pilot in a mech is RPG. It is a role playing game. But he's RPG progression is a level up mechanic. That's what he says. That's what he thinks. And
Enemy brawler.
Yamamura says. He says yes, and he's saying yes to like the generators and radiators. In terms of the type of parts, you can switch around and assemble your mech, yada yada yada. You know, he goes on about the different varieties of parts, exchange for different parts.
Inevitable.
So that aspect is going to fully in that Armor Core AC6. What did you say? This is general game cycle, so you could consider. Yeah, so Miyazaki says, you know, assembling your mech and getting new parts is technically a leveling up. You could consider it, he's saying you could consider it a leveling up, possibly, you know, because getting new parts makes you stronger. So obviously that's basically kind of like a level up. Like, you're not gonna have, be collecting like Armor Core souls and level up your character, level. So like, what's funny, Armor Core, and yeah, I'm playing GBO now. I just wanted to put some footage there so I got something to speak over. But Armor Core has should be technically harder because you can't. I mean, you can redo previous missions, to gain more money to probably buy more parts. I guess you could say that you can farm, right? To be able to make the mission, the next mission easier. But I feel like that's not as big as what it is in, Souls games. I think it's easier to, just, sit in an area, farm the area, go back, teleport back to the bonfire, refresh the area, go back, grind the area again, and then go defeat the boss. You ain't gonna be doing that in Armor Core. So Armor Core is gonna be actually harder in that regard, So Yamamura says the general game cycle is to clear missions, and you earn money and use money to buy more expensive weapons and parts for your mech. And also within that, you are this is the part where I was like, yo, that's not in other games. And it's terrific. If you're watching, you can tell me if you remember doing this in any of the Armor Core games. it says also within that you are tuning these parts, and I remember you could tune weapons, right, in Armor Core, Verdict Day, and Privy 5. You can tune these parts. You are tuning the weapons. Okay, I know that. And you're tuning your mech suit, your suit to your playstyle. I mean, that makes sense. Changing parameters, changing the performance of various parts to the suit, the way you want to approach each mission in each battle. I think this is called. I think this could be the equivalent in Armor Core as in leveling up. So yeah, is this part in terms of how mechs actually move and fly? Will it be similar to the past Armor Core games, or are you seeking to change for that in Armor Core 6? It says yes. I think you can imagine something similar to what we had in previous Armor Core games in terms of how you customize your mech parts in terms of mobility. Check this out. In terms of mobility, how you're using that in game as well. This is the part what blew my mind. And it's terrific. If you're watching, let me know if you remember this shit. You can tune the generators or the boosters to improve boosts or flight time or boost height or the explosiveness of the boost. Now, in Armor Core 5, there were about maybe 6 generators total. And each one was good at something, you know, some had good capacity, low consumption, some had low capacity. You know, there's loads of stats on the one generator, right? You couldn't tune generators, as in you couldn't make a generator change its stats. And that's what I'm getting from this. You can tune generators, meaning you could get one of those generators and tune it to the point where it might actually have better consumption than it already had, maybe. And maybe it gives you more, you know, this is way more in depth if that's the case. If you can tune generators or your boosters to improve boost or flight time, yada yada yada, etc., etc., that was not in any other Armor Core game. Being able to tune your generators, we could tune weapons. The way you could tune weapons was you would buy the weapon, right, and then you could basically you had it was like 3 stats: power, reload, and accuracy. And the maximum was 3 bars of power, 3 bars of reload, or 3 bars of accuracy, but you only could use 3 bars, right? So, for example, I could only have 1 power, 2 accuracy, or 1 power, 2 reload, or 2 power, 1 accuracy. You get my point. That's how we tuned the individual parts to get more power out of a weapon or more accuracy. For example, the Moonlights in Armor Core Verdict Day it was funny, yes, but it had accuracy. And accuracy was based on how long your weapon was. So you didn't have actual accuracy, but if you went all the way up, like 3 accuracy, you would literally make your Moonlight sabers longer, right? So, if you can do that with generator, they've applied the tuning thing to everything in the game. My mind, bro, is just... That sounds crazy, bro. And that even more customization, dude, than it previously was. That's what it sounds like to me. So yeah, if you're a long time fan of Armored Core, I know Seraphic is. Let me know if you remember generators being able to tune in any other game, because it definitely was not in Verdict Day. It was not in any of the older games, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not sure 4, because I didn't play 4 crazily. Like, I've seen snippets and stuff like that. But 4 answer, I didn't get that, because I was kind of late to that. I didn't even know it freaking existed at the time. But yeah, I played all the older games from the PlayStation 2 era, and then Verdict Day. So yeah, that was not in older games for sure. You could not tune those parts, but I might be mistaken. 4 might have had that. So what else? What else? What else? So yeah, that's basically it. I think. Actually, yeah. That's what I really wanted to talk about. We know it's not going to be Souls-like. We know the only thing that they're taking from the Souls genre is actually to do with the bosses. They're saying that this game is going to be heavily focusing on the bosses for, like, obviously the story mode. I mean, it makes sense because obviously their past games were all about their bosses, let's be honest. So that could have been what they was talking about when they said game breaking gameplay from recent games. So I think that might have been lost in translation in some sort of way, because the kind of doesn't make sense, because it's not the actual game. I mean, it kind of is the gameplay, because we're basically going to be able to interact with the boss a little bit more like you can interact with the bosses in the Souls games. But I'm guessing not. Yeah, basically. So yeah, we're gonna be shooting the boss and then going in for melee. They said they want to actually make more of a melee more easier to use kind of thing. I can't remember what the word they used. But they're going to be focusing on making melee probably feeling a lot more better because of obviously their Souls games. But I don't think they're going to actually put like light attack and heavy attack. Nah, I think they're just going to make it feel like you probably could do maybe 2 swings with the moonlights or something like that, for example. Maybe you can do slice, and you could have 2 weapons. Because like in older games, you could run 2 moonlights. You know what I'm saying? And you would do like a cross. Like you would do like, for example, you would melee like Pell Rider. When you do like how Pell Rider does his downswing. It kind of does like a cross and then splits them. That's basically what you would do with the moonlights. So maybe they make it so you can attack more times without waiting for it to recover after the attack. Because in Armored Core, like you can't spam your melee. Like once you used it, it kind of went on a cooldown type of thing. you guys know what I'm talking about. If you play GBO, you can't just keep meleeing, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it's gonna be pretty cool, pretty insane. If you know they make it more interactive with the bosses, I can't wait to see what that looks like. Honestly, like stunning the boss and then boosting up with my moonlight and then stabbing him in the eye, or like I don't know, like you know what I'm saying, jumps up and or maybe just stabs him in the chest, or I don't know what whatever animations they got. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be freaking cool, bro. So, man, yeah, I think that's it. That's what I really want to talk about. It's not a Souls game. It's an Armored Core game, and the closest thing to Souls that's going to feel familiar is going to be how the bosses work, basically. I think that's the only thing that's going to feel familiar for the Souls players. For us Armored Core players, this is like, I mean, we already had, you know, this, you know, but we just didn't have being able to stun the bosses. So, yeah. That's going to be cool though. Very interested in how they actually implement that. I wonder if they bring parry weapons back. Because I can't remember which one it was. I think it's Armored Core 1 or 2. We had a weapon, kind of like a parry dagger. But it wasn't a dagger, it was freaking... It was kind of like a power driver. It looked like a power driver, honestly. It was like a spiked weapon, I'm pretty sure. Like, what would hit you was the spike. Once he parried you, it would hit you with a spike. It wasn't, like, the animation isn't great, obviously. Like, you know, Armored Core 2, like, animations weren't, you know, come on, like, the parry just looked like, you kind of stunned, the parry looked like you stunned the enemy, and then you just attacked with the weapon. But you would literally take no damage from their melee weapon. So you knew that you actually successfully parried the blade. So I wonder if they bring that back, or will they make it so you can actually parry with like energy shields? Like energy shields, yeah, you can block range attack, right? You block range attacks. If it doesn't, I hope the shields have HP, like in Verde. If the shields have HP, you can actually blow them off, and then you lose the ability to parry a melee weapon. That could be balanced, honestly. So I mean, and it'll be super hard to parry someone anyway. Like in PvE, it might not be that it might be easier, but I'm pretty sure it'll be freaking hard still. Cause like mobile suits are fast, and they come in. If they have a lightweight with moonlights or piles, and you like, that's gonna be super hard to try to parry the guy, cause you know it would just be really hard. So I think that would be balanced if they did that. If they did have like a parry mechanic with the energy shields, or like some sort of like a parry weapon as well. But like if they allow energy shields to parry, I wouldn't trip on that. That's another, like, I guess, Souls mechanic. It's not really a Souls mechanic, because it was in the game a long time ago. Parries could work in this game. It definitely could. So I wouldn't mind seeing parries, honestly. I wouldn't mind seeing that. And that would give people, I mean, if they made piles as strong as they was in Verde, that would give people more of a chance to kind of like, you know, stop from being one-shotted by a heat pile, right? So that could be a balance right there, honestly. Bro, I'm looking at the screen right now and this is overkill. I got pissed that I missed that fucking heavy combo, so I just fucking did it again anyway, even when he was on low HP. That was unnecessary sync. Unnecessary. But I was pissed that I missed it. I was like, why the fuck I missed it? That move is fucking hard. Like, that move is fucking hard. It's not like, you know, everybody can do that shit. That's why you should never nerf that capability of the heavy combo. You shouldn't nerf that, because that's nerfing player skill. But yeah, that's all I got for the video. I talked a lot about Armored Core. It's not Souls-like. I'm happy. Miyazaki just basically said, "Fuck you, no." You know, like, what the fuck you talking about? Why do you guys think everything is Souls? You know, it's beautiful. But yeah, that is the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. You don't have to like and subscribe at all. You comment, at least comment down below. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, man. Comment down below, man. I want to see people talk about this shit, man. Let's talk. Alright, I'll catch you guys in the next one. God bless.
完全勝利です。お見事でした。